The biggest fighter in America just keeps picking fights with newborns and keeps losing. But all jokes aside, I've honestly lost count of how many times that Trump said he's going to ban birthright citizenship and how many times the court has blocked him. Just recently, a federal judge issued yet another nationwide block against his order, but does that actually stop him? I mean, let's take a step back. The problem Trump keeps pushing is that people are abusing the system, showing up as tourists, having a baby, grabbing a passport, and then leaving the country. And sure, on the surface, that sounds like something worth dealing with, but is it really happening often enough to justify getting the 14th Amendment? Or maybe that's not even the real reason Trump wants it so badly. Let's figure it all out today, and here's the plan. I'm going to ask AI about the real reasons behind Trump's obsession with ending birthright citizenship, whether he'll ever succeed, and what ChatGPT predicts will happen next. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and if you want to support the channel directly, hit that little join button and become a member. It seriously helps the channel grow. Thanks in advance, and now let's get to the video. Alright, here we go. Now I needed to gather everything that's going on with this topic, and after that, I'll ask the first question. So now it's ready, and I want it to be clear, straightforward, unbiased, call a spade, no sugarcoating, no fluff, none of that. First, why does Trump want to end birthright citizenship so badly? Does ChatGPT actually think it's a real problem? And what's the whole point of the fight? And here's the answer. Trump wants to end birthright citizenship because he sees it as a loophole that rewards people who, in his view, come to the US illegally and still get all the benefits of being American through their kids. His argument is simple. If someone enters the country without permission, their child shouldn't automatically get citizenship just because they were born here. He calls this a magnet for illegal immigration. That's been one of his biggest talking points for years. Tighten the border, crack down on undocumented immigration, and stop what he calls anchor babies, meaning kids born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents, which he believes can then be used to eventually legalize the entire family. He first talked about this back in 2018, even saying he could change it with an executive order. Back then, legal experts laughed that off. The 14th Amendment is clear. Anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen. The Supreme Court has stood by that for over 100 years, but Trump never let it go. He kept repeating it during rallies and interviews, and once he got back in office in 2025, it was one of the first things he did. On day one, he signed Executive Order 14160 to block birthright citizenship for babies born to undocumented parents or visa holders. His base loved it. So why is this such a big deal to him? Because it fits perfectly into his political brand. Law and order, America first, anti-immigration. Trump believes the current system is being abused. He points to birth tourism, where wealthy foreigners supposedly fly in just to give birth in the U.S., then leave with a U.S. passport for their kid. He talks about waves of undocumented immigrants having kids here and getting benefits like healthcare, schooling, and future green cards. Whether that's actually happening at scale is another story. But to Trump and his supporters, perception is reality, and politically, this plays really well for him. Now, is this a real problem? Honestly, no. Not in the way he makes it sound. Yes, undocumented immigrants have kids in the U.S., but there's no evidence that it's driving mass illegal immigration. Most people come here for work, safety, or family, not to give birth, and having a U.S.-born child doesn't give the parents any immediate legal status. That child can't sponsor anyone until they're 21. So the idea of people gaming the system just to get a baby passport is way overblown. It exists, but it's not common. It's not enough to justify rewriting a cornerstone of American law. The bigger issue is what this move means. Ending birthright citizenship would be the most dramatic rollback of civil rights in modern American history. The 14th Amendment was written after the Civil War to guarantee that former slaves and their children could never be denied citizenship. It's one of the most important equal rights protections in the Constitution. Removing it, even partially, opens a door that can't easily be shut again. If one president can just redefine who counts as a citizen, what's next? Trump's order targets a group with almost no power: newborn babies. It would punish them for the legal status of their parents, which is absurd. A kid born in Kansas or New York or Arizona is no less American than any other just because their mom didn't have the right paperwork. This isn't about fairness, it's about exclusion. It's about drawing a line between real Americans and everyone else. The United States has never been about perfect ancestry or paperwork at birth. It's been about the idea that if you're born here, you belong here. That's the promise of the 14th Amendment. Undoing that would take the country backwards, legally, morally, and culturally. It would turn citizenship into a privilege granted by politicians instead of a right guaranteed by the Constitution. And once we allow that, we're not protecting the country, we're changing it into something it was never supposed to be. Alright, got it. That was pretty detailed, don't you think? And yeah, it also doesn't think the problem Trump's painting is actually that huge. What a surprise. Okay, up next, I'm gonna ask AI to predict Trump's next moves now that a federal judge has blocked his order nationwide, and whether he'll ever actually succeed in ending birthright citizenship. But before we move on, real quick, make sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. I keep making these videos, but honestly, it would mean nothing without you watching and supporting. So if you want to say thanks or just help the channel grow, that is the best way to do it. By the way, I'm pretty sure there's a topic that you want me to cover that's already on the channel. Just click on the link in the description to check out the entire playlist where we've broken down everything Trump. Tariffs, ICE raids, protests, his speeches, and a whole lot more. So definitely check it out after we're done here. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the final part. So, ChatGPT, what's next? Is there a chance Trump will ever succeed at this? Give me your own prediction, and here it is. If we're looking at Trump's next move after the nationwide block on his birthright citizenship order, I'd bet he won't back down, not even close. If anything, this legal pushback will only fire him up more. That's how he operates. When courts, media, or opposition push against him, he turns the conflict into fuel. It becomes part of his narrative, that he's fighting a corrupt system that's trying to silence him. Here's what I think will happen next. First, he'll immediately appeal the injunction. His legal team will argue that Judge LaPlante overstepped and that the executive branch has the right to interpret the 14th Amendment when it comes to federal documentation and immigration enforcement. They'll file in the First Circuit Court of Appeals, and if they lose there, they'll go straight to the Supreme Court, which is likely what Trump wants anyway. That's where he's hoping to score the real win. With a 6-3 conservative majority, he believes the court might finally reinterpret the 14th Amendment to exclude children of undocumented immigrants. Will he succeed? I don't think so. I think it's a long shot. The Supreme Court might be conservative, but they're not blind to precedent. The 14th Amendment has been interpreted consistently for over a century to grant citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' legal status. Changing that would be massive, and the legal and political blowback would be enormous. Even conservative justices like Roberts and Barrett are cautious when it comes to rewriting bedrock constitutional interpretations. So no, I don't think he'll win at the Supreme Court, but I do think he'll get the fight he wants, and that fight alone is valuable to him politically. What's important to understand is that this isn't just about the policy, it's about the politics. Trump knows this executive order might fail legally, but that's not really the point. He's already winning politically just by pushing it. He gets to rally his base with a simple, powerful message. I'm the only one who's fighting to protect your country from being taken advantage of. Whether the courts block him or not doesn't matter as much, because the battle itself is what keeps him front and center in the headlines. He'll also likely use this court battle to ramp up rhetoric at rallies and in interviews. He'll link this issue with border security, illegal immigration, crime, even the economy. He might even start attacking the judge personally, especially since Judge LaPlante was appointed by George W. Bush. Trump has never been shy about turning legal fights into public campaigns. I also wouldn't be surprised if Trump tries to go around the courts in other ways. For example, his administration might instruct federal agencies like Homeland Security or the State Department to quietly delay or complicate birth certificate processing or passport approvals for certain families, especially in cases where the parents aren't citizens or green card holders. It wouldn't be official policy, but it could be done through administrative pressure or new internal guidelines. This could trigger a fresh wave of lawsuits, but it would buy him time and headlines. There's also a good chance he'll propose legislation through Republican allies in Congress to rewrite the Immigration and Nationality Act. He knows it probably won't pass, especially in the Senate, but again, the point is to keep the issue alive. He'll pressure GOP members to take sides, which also helps him cement control over the party. So, does he have a chance of actually ending birthright citizenship? Legally, almost zero. Politically, he's already halfway there. He's dominating the conversation, cornering his opponents, and forcing every media outlet to cover this issue on his terms. That's how Trump plays the game, and whether you support him or not, you can't deny that he's effective at steering the spotlight. My prediction: this ends up in the Supreme Court by late 2025 or early 2026. The court will likely strike it down or refuse to fully hear it, maybe by denying cert or issuing a narrow ruling. Trump will use the loss to double down on his argument that the system is rigged. The legal system will hold, but the political strategy will continue to work, because that's what this is really about. Not changing the law, but changing the narrative, and on that front, he's already getting exactly what he wants. And that's it. So, ChatGPT thinks this whole thing doesn't really lead anywhere. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is birthright citizenship actually the real problem? And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the join button if you want to support the channel directly. Next up, click on this video, where ChatGPT breaks down Trump's sudden shift on Putin and even predicts how the war in Ukraine might end, or possibly spread to other countries. Thanks for watching, click on that video, and I'll be waiting for you there.